Well, hello and welcome back to the radio room. This is the last video for the FT 101 double E. I've gotten the work done on it, getting it back to operating condition and fixing the problems that it was presented with. Namely, I think there was a little bit of an incident with the connector for the mic cord. From what I understand, the mic, when it had been stored, had been pinched real tight right here and caused a short on that. I've actually repaired the connector back on there. It had been connected a little bit, corrected a little bit, and repaired by the previous owner, and I think it was working okay for a little while. But I think I'd mentioned in a previous video that we did have some problems when I first got it. So basically, took the connector off, got back to some really good wire, put some heat shrink on there as a little bit of strain relief, and resoldered it and reconnected it on there. And it's operating just fine now. We don't have any shorting when you plug it in, so it's not in transmit right there. I do have the, let's see, turn the mic gain and the carrier down a little bit, and you can hear the relays clicking, so it's working on PTT. A couple other things I've done on the radio and since the last video, if you'll remember in the last video, I believe we changed those higher voltage caps. I don't know if a high voltage caps, labeling them that way might not be the most accurate way to describe them. There are higher voltage capacitors in the radio, but these are up in the 250 watt working volt range, or 250 volt working range. But the radio is back to working. Like I said, I did do an alignment after it. That was absolutely necessary in order to complete some of the other work that I'd mentioned before that I wanted to do. For one thing, there was absolutely no power output on 10 meters. And due to that, I couldn't check the neutralization. You do that up there in the 10 meter band, which is the most likely spot that it's going to oscillate if the tubes are going to oscillate. So I did have to do a complete transmit and receive front end alignment, 160 through 10 meters, to get everything going. And it did peak up the receive a little bit. We'll listen to it a little bit. See if there's any AM. So AM's working as well. This is on the 80 meter band right now. And all the bands are up to 100 watts plus. This thing will actually go pretty good. I was getting somewhere between on peaks, and I'm talking swinging the carrier all the way over, just to see what it'd max out at. It was 150, 160 watts out on most of the bands. So I definitely wouldn't run this any higher than about 100 watts, just to keep from taxing the tubes any harder than necessary. But definitely has pretty good receive now. find a kind of a dead spot here. And if you'll notice the meter up here, I've already tuned it pretty close right here. So, and you can hear my tuner in the background. Definitely over 100 watts there. So it's definitely working. Let's see if we can maybe pick up anything on any other band. Of course, I am going through an antenna tuner right now, so well, picks up AM broadcast, that's for certain. Okay, I'm just gonna get the tuner to at least cooperate with me so we can get a little better signal. Helps to be on a actual. I'm just gonna raise the carrier up a little bit. I got the plate and the loading and the pre-select close. I'm just gonna raise this up to about 100 milliamps, just to get enough signal out to trigger the tuner. And it's already tuned. It's an automatic tuner. So that should help us a little bit. A little late, but 20 might still be open. Once again, just going to see if I can get a little bit of carrier to trigger the tuner. Once again, might want to go to something that's actually got a carrier. And it's back in. Pretty quiet tonight, so I don't know if there's a whole lot on 20. There's maybe still some weak signals out there. It's pretty late at night. But one thing I will want to show you is we do have 10 meter output now. So let me go to let's see the speed. Let's go to about 28. Just a little. Let's say 28,380. Get that antenna tuner to cooperate with us again. See if we can get some RF output on it. So I'm going to go, I got the carrier down, I'm going to see if I can get just enough to dip the plate here. Okay. And then we'll look at the meter up here and go for maximum output. I'm just going to get a little more carrier. Okay, so one thing I do want to point out right there is, since I've done the realignment, my pre-select, let me turn this up so maybe y'all can hear it. You hear the peak right there? Now let me go to, you'll also notice that's our just about right at our peak on power output, which is what you want. You want your pre-select to actually match on the two. So let me finish loading here. It should be pretty darn close. So over 100 watts. I'm going to turn that down. There's not going to be, I think, anything really going on 10 meters this late at night. No, not really much going on. So let's go back down to 80. I am going to do this just because I would like to get the antenna tuned back where it needs to be. So we're sitting about at 28.557. And the tuner's done. So it seems to be working pretty good. Definitely have power output on it now. A lot of that was alignment. There's a few other things that I've seen that needed a little help, such as those capacitors, the mic cord. Of course, before, you remember, we didn't have any IC reading, and that's because the bias wasn't being able to be brought positive enough due to that one resistor that was throwing the voltage divider off on the bias control, and couldn't raise the voltage positive enough to actually turn the tubes on. So after I did get the transmit and receive realignment done, I could get some power output on 10 meters, get it properly tuned, and then do the cold neutralization process. Now I went ahead and checked this with the original OEM C125 100 picofarad cap in there, and I could get it to neutralize down to a certain point, but I wasn't really happy with it. In a previous video, I actually showed I believe I showed a neutralization I did on the FT101, the radio I was working on right before this one. And you could see I could get that signal down very, very small on the oscilloscope, and I wasn't really happy with the amount of voltage, basically, that was still in that signal with that capacitor in there. So I went ahead and replaced it, and I put the 10 picofarad cap in and got much better neutralization. Got it basically down till I couldn't hardly see it on the oscilloscope. So I definitely am happier with that. Got that capacitor changed. That's over in the PA section of the radio. I also changed C13 out. And if you remember in the previous video, I think I mentioned it. I wasn't really happy with the way it was in there. Let me show you. See if I can find the picture. of it being in there. This is just on my phone. I tried to get these on my computer and use them into my my studio software that I was trying to use, but it didn't want to play right to do the screenshot. So here is the picture of that. It's just basically two capacitors in series that they placed in there. I have no idea what voltage they are, but I did notice once I had them out specifically. This is a picture I took of them right after I got them out of there. If you'll notice, they're supposed to be the lighter red. They're actually black in the middle. That tells me they've probably gotten pretty hot. I don't know if that's just because they're so close to those capacitors or resistors. This is a very, very hot area of the radio. I don't know if that started cooking them, but from where they're done, I think they were getting hot because they might have been leaking just a little bit. So I went ahead and replaced them with a an actual appropriately sized capacitor, which this is the new one. A picture I took of the new one, and of course those two together are the ones that were in there. There's another picture of that. You can see there's a lot bigger size difference there. And between the two, the big one has basically the same capacitance as the two smaller ones, which are individually higher capacitance. And do have that back in the radio and sitting over there. Another thing that I didn't like, the way the other ones were put in there, if you'll notice this white right here, I actually put spaghetti tubing on this. In the original picture of them being in the radio, you'll notice that there is no insulation on those leads. If this had gotten pushed up against the side, particularly on this side over here, there could have been DC voltage going straight to the chassis. So I did want to get something on there that would be some protection on there. So basically, yeah, we've got the radio pretty much working good. I'm going to find a kind of a deader frequency here, if that's possible. And one thing I hadn't quite checked here is the fact of making sure that I had some swing on the needle and some power output on sideband with this microphone. I have made a contact or two with this radio on the air, one with a local amateur radio operator and one that's about 150 miles away. Very good signals both ways, but that was on a different microphone. So let's go ahead and get this thing tuned up, and we will see if we can get just check to make sure we got good power output with acceptable amount of mic gain. Got the plate dipped. Okay, now it's playing a little better. Had some controls just off a little bit from the get-go, so that's about 50 watts out right now on carrier. Test, test, test. Test, test, test. Might still have a problem here. Oh, let me try this. Test, test, test. Test, test, test. Yep, we got good, adequate audio going out on that, and I did switch briefly over to a dummy load for a moment while I was testing that. So I think we're good on that as well. Go back to some signals here. So I think we're really in good shape on this radio now. I think it's ready to go back to its owner and let him enjoy it. Cleaned up the faceplate real nice. Actually got in there and cleaned all the little crevices and stuff on it. Cleaned the knobs off. One thing I will show you as well. I do have the clarifier zeroed.
That's what I was trying to do, was get it, because like I said, I've never done on the fusion.
So I got the clarifier good on 0. And just make sure it's working. So the clarifier is working. So I think we're doing really good on this radio. So I just wanted to make a little video finishing up this radio, showing that it's got good output power even on 10 meters. Receives sounding really nice, really pleasant radio to listen to. And we'll kind of wrap it up on the FT101 EE. Not exactly sure what's coming next on the channel. A couple other radios that might get a little air time, so to speak, on the channel. And we still have the FT101E, the one that started the great FT101 train of radios coming in. We still got to get back to that one and finish it up, but I wanted to make sure that these other ones made it out first, just because they belong to other people, and I wanted to make sure they got their radios back, in a timely manner. It's taken a little while to do it, obviously, just working on these things on the weekends and whatnot. So, all right, thanks for stopping by and enjoying an FT101 EE with me. Like I said, EE doesn't have the processor in it. And we'll see you next time on the Radio Room. Bye for now.